All right, guys, here we are at The Hague. This is the Peace Palace. To a lot of you, this place should look very familiar. After all, this is the building that you keep on seeing on headlines whenever pinag-usapan or dinidiscuss yung arbitration case natin, which we won 8 years and 1 day ago. So just the other day, we celebrated the 8th anniversary of that arbitration case. And let me be absolutely clear, that arbitration case, was under a special compulsory arbitration body, which was established under Article 287, Annex 7 of the United Nations Convention Law of the Sea. And that special body made it absolutely clear to everyone that China's 9-line, 10-line, 11-line, whatever claim it wants to make in this area, it is not consistent with prevailing and modern international law. Right? That what China was claiming was based on mumbo-jumbo, kaikbangan na historic claims, no? And all of the mumbo-jumbo China said about, there's the kind of, that kind of a intertemporal kind of argument. Now, if China is a thousands of years old civilization and, more than 1,000 years ago or hundreds of years ago before the establishment of modern international law, they were able to essentially establish their legal claim in this area. Therefore, right, whatever modern international law says, it doesn't apply to them. So the court made it absolutely clear that when you talk about modern international law, China's 9-line, 10-line, 11-line, whatever line they're saying is not consistent with that, right? If anything, any serious scholar of South China Sea knows that yung mumbo-jumbo claims ng China were a result of the national humiliation that they experienced back in the day. And when the last Chinese emperor stepped down, essentially, and the Qing Empire collapsed, a couple of over-enthusiastic Chinese cartographers, historians, national historians, tried to kind of reassert or bring back China's sense of greatness by coming up with all of these weird maps that made claims way beyond what China ever owned or ever could claim to own in historical terms. Now, China talks about, Admiral Zhang He, hundreds of years ago, more than half a millennium ago, went to this area and that area, therefore sa kanila yon. I mean, that's a completely nonsensical claim because by that basis, then all of this European colonial power who explored and quote-unquote discovered much of the world, edi sa kanila dapat yan forever. I mean, that's a completely nonsensical claim. And by the way, Admiral Zhang He was not even Han Chinese, and some would say he was not even East Asian, that most likely he was a Persian Central Asian person, and we know that he was actually Muslim, and him having a Muslim background actually helped him to be able to get the help of a lot of people, when he was traversing the Indian Ocean and beyond. But anyway, the point is that that court, yes, had no jurisdictions on matters that are relevant to territorial claims, because territorial claims is something that this court does not cover, okay? This court does not have a jurisdiction on territorial claims. But it had jurisdiction, though, even though China did not want to, participate. China did not want to, honor or acknowledge the jurisdiction of this court from the very beginning. So they had the three no's, non-participation, non-recognition, and non-compliance, right? So that's the three no's position of China. They say it's the decision of the court is a piece of trash paper. All of those kinds of chutzpah that we saw from China. Having said that, China has ratified the UNCLOS, so it has to abide and has to respect anything that happens under the auspices of UNCLOS, including the very court, the Special Arbitral Tribunal that decided in the palace in favor of the Philippines. So let's be very, very clear about that, okay, mga kameta. Now, speaking of this, actually, the ICJ is also there, and as you know, there are some very important cases that are being, under, their proceedings right now with respect to what's also happening, the conflict that is happening in Gaza right now. So actually they're a little bit strict with security, and if you want to enter there, you have to first send a copy of your passport, and then once they approve that, the next thing you have to do is bring your passport. Medyo meron siyang maraming kaikbangan din, diba? There are a lot of procedural issues you have to take in consideration. Now, going back to this, okay, let's be absolutely clear about this. This court had no jurisdictions on matter of territorial claims. So it neither proved or disproved any of the territorial claims over the land features in the West Philippine Sea and broader South China Sea. But, and this is what's important, and that's what we don't hear from proxies of China, from Bayarana trolls and whatever, and some ignoramus folks, what we're not hearing from them is that actually the court had jurisdiction on matters of maritime entitlement claims. Meaning, yung issues ng, eto ba ay kasama sa exclusive economic zone ng isang bansa? Pasok yung jurisdiction nila. Tama ba yung ginagawa ng China na gumagawa ng mga fake islands over low tide elevations? Yung environmental damage ng ginagawa ng China, yung militarization ng ginawa ng China, tama ba yan? Sangayon ba yan sa international law? Yung mga ganitong bagay, pasok sa kanilang jurisdiction. And on all of those areas, China lost. Because sobrang illegal yung ginagawa ng China. Now, more importantly, the court also decided on the nature of the disputed land features in the area. Ito ba ay isang isla? Okay, when we say isla, in pedestrian or lay, right, discourse, any rock formation out there in the waters, we call it an island. But in international law, an island has a very specific implication. All right, very, very specific implication. An island should have a certain amount of size, certain geological features, but most importantly, it has to be able to sustain life on its own, meaning meron siyang independent source of water, right? So there's some sort of repository of rainwater, there's some sort of condition to allow for life to thrive, right? Yung mga island ni Robinson Crusoe, di ba? So the thing is, if it doesn't meet the basic threshold of sustaining life on its own, having some sort of fresh water, if it doesn't have those attributes, then hindi siya island based on clause. Then there are two other options. One is it's a rock. So a rock is a formation that is big enough. I don't know. You can put a number of troops there. You can put a number of people there. So that's what yung Pag-asa is, for instance, because Pag-asa doesn't have the water of its own. We have to bring supply there, etc. But it's big enough to house people, big enough for establishment of some structures without, the need for massive reclamation and fake island building. So in that case, what we're looking at here is it's a rock, and the rock has 12 nautical miles territorial sea maritime entitlement. Again, the court did not decide kanino yan. But the court could determine whether it's a rock or an island, right? According to the court, none of the land features na kinokontest natin sa West Philippine Sea ay isang isla. Because if there were an isla, right, if there were technically an island, then they could generate their own 200 nautical miles exclusive economic zone. Then it's a mess. That means some of the islands dyan sa Kalayaan na occupied ng China, if they're really an island, and China in some form or shape establishes its continuous and effective control and establishes na sa kanila yan, then it can generate another 200 nautical miles, goes way into the Manila Bay, goes way into our own territorial sea and waters, right? And then it's a mess. So very importantly, the court made it clear that there are no islands there. Even yung Ito Aba, Taiping Island, na inoccupy ng Taiwan, ay hindi kasama. Hindi siya isla. And that's why the Taiwanese were also very angry. And if you look at the position of Taiwan, I love them for many good things, great food, democracy, palaban, and all of those things. But, oops, what happened? Someone got angry. Okay, nalobat yata.